Whose Amy?
My Amy.
You mean your Amy?
Bo Hunkers.
Bo Hookers?
Bo Hunkers.
Bo Hunkers?
Oh, I beg your pardon. Hoboken.
Hoboken. Oh, well, Mr. Conductor, I want to go to Hot Town.
Hot Town?
Yes, sir.
That's the last stop.
Last-
All aboard.
All right, sir.
Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome aboard. It's good to have you here. And let's get into it. A little bit of crime and punishment. How's audio? There we go. We got some audio happening. I could probably put the audio up a little higher even. Sure. Toss the audio to there. Hey everyone, how's it going? Mini-Me 96. Good to see you back. I'm doing just fine. How are you doing today? I'm excited. It's been a while since we played. We haven't I haven't been streaming a lot lately. In fact, I've been relaxing quite a bit. And it's good to be back into the swing of things. I have to admit, it's been so long since I played, I actually kind of forgot how to activate some of the OBS things. Hope it all works out well. At any rate, let's dive into a bit of crime and punishment. That's why we're all here. It's an open VC, open voice chat, which means that we could be having some spectacular guests joining us. As always, oh, I'm glad that you're just chilling. I'm okay, and I hope I can make your chilling all the better. And the best way to do that is to dive into some court cases that could dramatically impact the lives of the accused. All right. I think volume's okay. I might actually pull that down to 15. Okay, we should be all right. So let's dive into our first court case. Remember, court is now in session. Your rating will be affected by how much and what kind of information you choose. Well, let's take a look at the crime of cat burglary. Translation, Chin, I don't know who Brian McCabe is. Crime is cat burglary. And we're going to look at the details of the crime. The demographics for this case are that the offender is a 21-year-old Hispanic woman. The victim was a 25-year-old Hispanic male. The offender-victim relationship, the victim was the offender's brother. Well, that's quite interesting. The weapon used physical injury? There was none. Pun intended, I suppose, absolutely. The property damage or loss? In the crime of cat burglary between siblings, property damage or loss was $1.2 million. Welcome to Crime and Punishment, everyone. I hope you're enjoying the stream. Let's look at the excuse given for the... Hold on a sec. Demographics. 21-year-old woman, 25-year-old brother. Okay. The excuse given for this crime. So this 21-year-old woman said that the devil made her burgle her brother's cats for $1.2 million. Welcome aboard. Let's look at the offender's criminal record. My. We're going to look at her adult prior crime types. Remember, she is 21. So we don't know if she's been an adult under the legal system for 1 year and 1 day or 1 year and 365 days, but keep that in mind when we look at her adult prior crime types and prior arrests and convictions. Her adult prior crime types are... They include burglaries. Well, there's a surprise. And the prior arrests and convictions, 2 recorded prior arrests, 1 recorded prior conviction. Her fugitive status on the day of this crime, she left an alcohol detoxification program. The offender's reputation, this 21-year-old girl, she's a troublemaker. I can only assume, yes, she is. We could, by the way, we could look at the juvenile court blotter, but we're not going to. I don't see much of a reason in this case. We'll try her as an adult like the 21-year-old she is. Let's look at the pre-sentence report. And we're going to look at her personal details. The offender is divorced. She sniffs glue, and she is a college scholar. Her employment history is that she's a software distributor. Oh. The courtroom prosecution details state that the defendant was convicted by a jury. Good for them. Priests speak out on the defendant's behalf. Normally, I would not look at offenders' upbringing or mental history unless they were relevant to this case, and this being a case between siblings, I definitely want to take a look at the offender's upbringing. For this 21-year-old woman, the offender's mother was a communist, and the offender was brought up in an urban setting. She couldn't have been that big a communist if $1.2 million in capitalism got her that. Let's review the known facts. And while we're reviewing the known facts, anyone watching in chat, mini-me, plus anyone else, if you'd care to dive in what you think that we should sentence as far as prison, jail, or probation, as well as an amount of time, by all means, throw it in there. But currently, let's look at the known facts. In the crime of cat burglary, property damage or loss was $1.2 million. The victim was the offender's brother. There was no personal injury. The offender is a 21-year-old woman. The victim was a 25-year-old man. The offender said the devil made her do it. The offender left an alcohol detoxification program. The offender is a troublemaker. Prior crimes include burglaries. She has had 2 recorded prior arrests and 1 recorded prior conviction. The defendant was convicted by a jury. priest speak out on the defendant's behalf. The offender's mother was a communist, and the offender was brought up in an urban setting. The offender is divorced, sniffs glue, and is a college scholar. And the offender is a software distributor. And those are the known facts. Well now, let's discuss. Mini-Me96, you say that you're thinking prison. Well, if we look at this from a rehabilitation standpoint, you always have to ask yourself, is there possibility of rehabilitation? And I believe yes. I believe that this woman, she has had prior arrests and convictions, but she is still young, and they were very few. So I do believe that rehabilitation is a possibility in this woman's life. However, I cannot deny that she stole $1.2 million through the activity of cat burglary on her own family. I definitely believe that's not jail-worthy, that's prison-worthy. In that, I would agree with you, Mini-Me96. As far as the amount of time, I think that would be dependent on whether or not there was physical injury and whether or not the amount of money involved, property damage or loss, was minimal or quite a bit. In this case, $1.2 million is quite a bit. I think that 15 years of prison would be getting this woman off light. I would be closer to think that 18 years and 6 months of prison. I think that's exactly what this woman did. Now, I do believe that this woman is subject for rehabilitation, being in her youth. She is young. And 18 years, that's not really $1.2 million justification. I'm going to lower it to 7.5 years. I'm going to say 7.5 years of prison. I mean, 15, 18, 7.5. Either way, she's going away. So let's settle it at 7 years, 6 months, and let's see how we do. We got us a symmetrical duck award.
Hello, folks. You know, I've been picking and trying to pick a banjo for 40 years or more. I used to just play the imitations, but now I'm going to give you a little of the variations of Casey Jones.
Yeah. We got us a symmetrical duck award. That's fantastic. First case of the night, we got a symmetrical duck award. And we are laughing. 6 years, 7 years, 6 months, I said. And the judge sentenced to 7 years, 1 month. So we were fairly close. We didn't nail it dead on, but we were fairly close, and I'm happy with that. Let's see how many gavels we got. There we go, everyone. We got 10 gavels. Fantastic. We're off to a fine start. And our judicial IQ is 194. First case of the night. Look at that. That's fantastic. Good job, team. so glad that we were all involved with that. Fantastic. And now we have one symmetrical duck award on the night. Man, oh man. I feel good about that, don't I? Get sayonari chant back on there. Thanks for coming in, translation chant. All right, well, everyone, that was fantastic. Let's look at our next case. Remember, it is how much and what kind of information. That is important. The defendant is to be sentenced for the crime of daytime burglary. Huzzah. Let me just check something here on the back end. Okie dokie, we're good. All right, let's hop back into it. And, let's look at the details of this crime. We're going to look at the demographics. The offender is an 18-year-old white Catholic woman. The victim was a 24-year-old white Catholic male. That was quite a fair judgment, I think. I agree. I fully agree. I think that, well, I'm considerably surprised that we did as well as we did. All right. Daytime burglary. She's 18. He's 24. The offender-victim relationship is that they were friends. Probably not anymore. The weapon used physical injury, there was none, but the property damage or loss was $23,000. The excuse given for this crime is that she said she needed money to support a drug habit. And by the way, her demographics, she's 18. I don't think I've ever seen a case as young as 18, and so if we have been gauging that 19 is the youth of being tried as an adult, I think 18 is now the new bar. 18 years old, and she's committing crime. And not just committing crime, but $23,000 worth of daytime burglary. Let's look at the offender's criminal record. And we're going to look at adult prior crime types. They include speeding. Her prior arrests and convictions being 18 years old, she has had 10 recorded prior arrests and 9 recorded prior convictions. She has had an extensive 18-year-old's life. I hope the offender's reputation is YOLO. Wow. What are her adult prior crime types? Speeding. She's been convicted 9 times. Alright. Her fugitive status on the day of the crime. Canada requests extradition. No relation, by the way. I just want to point that out. No relation. The offender's reputation is... she at the age of 18 years old, she is a known racketeer. Wow. Remember what I was talking earlier about rehabilitation? I think that we are justified and merited to look at the juvenile court blotter on this case. Given that within the past 365 days, she was a juvenile. Let's take a look at the juvenile court blotter. The offender's juvenile offenses include truancy. So she skips school, skips school, say that 5 times fast, and her reasoning is that she's a known racketeer, and those convictions ain't gonna convict themselves. Let's look at the pre-sentence report. And we're gonna look at her personal details. The offender is judicially separated. She's an alcoholic, and she is a vocational school graduate. Wow. Her employment history is that she's an Army corporal. This case gets crazier every moment we see a new fact. The criminal prosecution details state that the defendant was bound and gagged during the trial because this case can't get even more crazy than it is already. The prosecutor calls for a strong sentence at a press conference. Let's look at I mean, we don't have to look at the offender's upbringing or mental history. What? I agree, Minimi. I agree. Let's look at the offender's upbringing. Given that the offender's upbringing could have been to up as recently as a day prior. The offender had divorced parents and was raised in the Deep South. Oh, interesting. I don't think we need to look at mental history, but this is such a wacky case that I think we would be neglect not to look at it. So let's take a look at mental history. The offender is occasionally psychopathic and lacks in moral sense. I am stunned. I am just stunned. This is an amazing case. Let's review the known facts. And again, while we're reviewing the known facts, by all means, Mini-Me and anyone else in chat, please contribute your guess as to what you think would be a fair and reasonable punishment and how far a length that would be. In the crime of daytime burglary, the property damage or loss was $23,000. The offender and the victim were friends. There was no personal injury. The offender is an 18-year-old woman. The victim was a 24-year-old man. The offender said she needed money to support a drug habit. Canada requests extradition. The offender is a known racketeer. Being an 18-year-old woman, her prior crimes include speeding. The offender's juvenile offenses include truancy. She has had 10 recorded prior arrests as an adult and 9 recorded prior convictions as an adult. The defendant was bound and gagged during the trial. The prosecutor calls for a strong sentence at a press conference. The offender had divorced parents and was raised in the Deep South. The offender is occasionally psychopathic and lacks in moral sense. The offender is judicially separated, is an alcoholic, and is a vocational school graduate. Also, the offender is an Army corporal. I can't even. Well. Where to even begin? Let's... My. Let's... I mean, I do not believe that this woman can be rehabilitated. Probation is out. Jail is out. I don't think that this woman can suffer the jail system for everything she's done, including cat burglary. Oh yeah. And at the med history, I suppose prison, I fully concur. Prison would serve this young woman best. Where to even go? It was only $23,000. However, daytime burglary is a serious offense. So I think that minimum 5 years. However, given her... can we really tack on further charge time just because of her recorded priors? I mean, they serve information to the case, but they didn't play in. So I'm thinking that 5 years of prison may be acceptable. Yeah, you know what? I think it's just going to be 5 years. This judge might go less. This judge might say it's 3 years or maybe even 2 years of jail or some such. I wish we could lock her away. I wish we could give her 15 years. But honestly, for daytime burglary of $23,000, I think that 5 years of prison, that's what we're looking at. Let's find out. 2 cases, 2 symmetrical dock awards.
Hello, folks. You know I've been picking and trying to pick up banjos for 40 years or more. I used to just play the imitations, but now I'm going to give you a little of the variations of Casey Jones.
Fantastic. We got 2 symmetrical duck awards. Tell me that's just not a feel-good moment there. All right. And actually, I hit the classical music a little too early because we want to hear the chip tune on this. Let's listen and dance to the number of gavels and the music. Oh, doesn't that feel good? We got 10 gavels. There's no judge you can't match. You should be the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. This is amazing. Judicial IQ is 194. This is we should just end the stream now. We're doing fantastic. This is phenomenal. This is utterly and incredibly phenomenal. I'm ecstatic about this. I don't think we've ever had such a successful night so early in. We're batting 1,000. Man, where do we go from here? Well, let's find out because it's time for our next case. All right, I'll take it. Yeah, you take it. All right, you earned it. Remember, everyone, it is how much and what kind of information that is important. Oh, the defendant is to be sentenced for the crime of murder. Dun, dun, dun. Let's look at the details of this crime. And as always, it offers us the option to do the death penalty, yes or no, and we always choose no. In the crime of murder, let's look at the details of this crime. Then we're going to look at the demographics. The offender is a 39-year-old black male. The victim was a 54-year-old Hispanic woman. The offender-victim relationship. The offender and victim were political opponents. The weapon used in physical injury. The victim was pushed in front of a train. Ooh. Ooh. That is remarkable. I have to say that in the decades of time that I've been playing this game, I've never seen that item appear in this video game. The victim was pushed in front of a train. Once again, I just want to go back to demographics. He was 39, she was 54. So he pushes her in front of a train, his political opponent. The property damage or loss on this is $1,445. And the excuse given for this crime, he said he did it to get even. Listen, buddy, unless she's pushing you in front of a train, I don't think that what you did was to get even. All right. That is brutal. Let's look at the offender's criminal record for this 39-year-old man. His adult prior crime types makes it as real as possible. It does. Man, these cases, I tell you, the adult prior crime types, specific crime type of information is unavailable. Prior arrests and convictions. In this man's 39 years of life, he has had 1 recorded prior arrest. Fugitive status on the day of the crime, he has no rap sheet. So he's relatively clean. Let's look at the offender's reputation. The offender is a stoolie. Now, normally we don't look at the deeper items that are optional unless it involves death, in this case, murder. So we're going to look at all the facts that are provided to us, and that includes the juvenile court blotter. The offender's juvenile offenses include crashing the gate at a rock concert. Means nothing. But we need to look at it because it is part of the makeup of this case. Let's look at the pre-sentence report. And we're going to look at the personal details of this 39-year-old man. The offender is unmarried, chews tobacco, and is a ski school graduate. He's a ski. The school that he graduated from was ski school. An interesting vocational selection. Let's look at the employment history. He's a doctor. Is he now? Is he now? He's a naturopathist. Let's look at the courtroom prosecution details. The jury recommends a stiff sentence, do you think? The press was excluded from the courtroom. And we're going to look at the offender's upbringing on this one. The offender's parents were on welfare, and the offender was born in prison. He's had a relatively clean life from being born in prison. His mental history, which we definitely need to take a look at. The offender is kinky. I don't think that has much bearing on this case, to be honest. But we had to look at all the known facts. And on that note, let's review the known facts once again. Everyone in chat, Minime96, as well as everyone else, please place what it is that you would like to see as far as a sentence, which is likely going to be prison, and a length of time. Let's review the known facts. In the crime of murder, the property damage or loss was $1,445. The offender and the victim were political opponents. The victim was pushed in front of a train. The offender is a 39-year-old black male, and the victim was a 54-year-old Hispanic woman. The offender said he did it to get even. 39-year-old man, 54-year-old woman, he did it to get even. The offender has no rap sheet. The offender is a stoolie. Specific crime type of information is unavailable. In his youth, the offender's juvenile offenses included crashing the gate at a rock concert. The offender has had one recorded prior arrest in his 39 years of life. The jury recommends a stiff sentence. The press was excluded from the courtroom. The offender's parents were on welfare, and the offender was born in prison. The offender is kinky, inexplicably. The offender is unmarried, chews tobacco, and is a ski school graduate. And the offender is a doctor. Well, oh, well, let's reach a decision. And do we want the death penalty? We never want the death penalty. Oh, my. We're doing prison, that much is certain, and now it's just a matter of figuring out the length of time. Oh, and look who just popped into the room. Everyone, welcome aboard, June Kalmari.
Hello, everyone.
Would you like to review the known facts?
I mean, I might as well. Hello, what's going on?
Everyone, June Kalmari, VTuber extraordinaire. Let me just, I'm going to minimize the, what's my VLC? Foobar, there we go. I'm going to pull that out of the way.
I'm pulling up chat on my phone.
There we go.
Or at least attempting to. My YouTube does not seem to want to cooperate.
Minime96 says, hey, June. June's son.
Mini-Me is here?
Mini-Me is here.
Oh my god, that's one of mine!
Well, Mini-Me96 is also one of mine now, so we're going to have to fight for custody.
I see how it is.
Good. Let's review the case. The case is murder.
Oh, shit!
We're going to review the known facts once again. Are you ready?
I'm as ready as I'm gonna be.
In the crime of murder, the property damage or loss was $1,445. The offender and the victim were political opponents. The victim was pushed in front of a train.
Oh my god!
Uh-huh.
Oh my god.
It gets better. This is a crazy case, so put your hat on.
Oh dear lord.
The offender is a 39-year-old male. The victim was a 54-year-old woman. The offender said he did it to get even.
Oh no.
He pushed her in front of a train to get even.
Oh no.
I can only assume at some point she pushed him in front of a train.
They just mutually have pushed each other in front of trains.
They're just trading off.
Oh my god.
The offender has no rap sheet. The offender is a stoolie. We always look a little bit deeper when it involves death, but this guy is relatively clean. Specific crime type of information is unavailable, but the offender's juvenile offenses include crashing the gate at a rock concert.
Well, that's not.
No, it's not. He has had one recorded prior arrest in his 39 years of life. The jury recommends a stiff sentence because pushing a person in front of a train to the point of death recommends properly. The press was excluded from the courtroom.
We don't need them there.
The offender's parents were on welfare, and the offender was born in prison. The offender is kinky.
What?
That was under mental history. The offender is kinky.
Mental history? That's a
right.
mental history.
Mental history. Keep it together. We're almost at the end. Hold on. Hold on to that hat. The offender is unmarried, chews tobacco, and has graduated the school known as ski. I don't know too many ski school graduates or what kind of diploma that you would get out of one of those, but there you are.
Oh, God.
And also the offender is a doctor.
A doctor with a political opponent that he pushed in front of a train, also he's kinky? That's what you're telling me on this day?
That's what I'm telling you.
In front of God and everyone?
On this day, in front of God and everyone else. Let's reach a decision. Do we choose the death penalty? And the answer to that is no. Although we will be going to prison.
No.
Oh no, indeed. I'm going to score this case. And you can pitch in as you so desire. But I think we're going to go into... Mini-Me is just lighting up chat with, yes, a kinky doctor. I think that prison of minimum 10 years is definitely warranted. But there was even though the offender has had a very light record with just one arrest in 39 years of life, I feel that admitting that he pushed her in front of a train to get even is warranting 15 years of prison. Right then and there, 15 years.
Yeah, that makes sense.
There wasn't much property damage or loss at $1,449. The jury recommended a stiff sentence, and I would say that 15 years would be adequate. So I'm going to go 15 years on this one. Bailiff June Kawamori, how do you think this case should be done?
Oh, you're not going to like the narrative that I've already built in my head.
I'm going to love the narrative you've already built in your head. Throw it at me.
So there is a certain kinky doctor that I can think of who was arrested for murder, and he got no time at all because I love him, and also he is my favorite character of all time, regardless of that fact. Yeah, I think this guy should go in for about 15 years.
I know not the individual you speak of, but if you're in for
I'll tell you
15,
pictures
so am
later.
I. Oh, I hope not. You could have
No,
until
it's
you mentioned
fantastic.
this. Until you mentioned the kinky bit, I was on board. But unless it, the last name, unless
Let the man have his hobby.
unless the last name has something to do with hot dogs and/or sausages. All right, let's take a look. Yeah, I might not be smart, but I am old. Let's take a look at how we did. And the game crashed, which means we get an honorary symmetrical duck award.
We did it. 15 years.
15 years. So we're going to do a reboot, a hard reset of the game. And while we do, let's see, game, how many gavels did we get on that one? 10 honorary. Gotta spell that with a U because I'm a hoser. And what's our judicial IQ? We're going to keep it at the same. Judicial IQ is going to stay at 196. And you might think that's a little high. But the reason is, prior to your showing up, this was case number 3. And Mini-Me 96 can attest to this. We got 2 symmetrical duck awards with 10 gavels each. We got 2 perfect cases.
Holy moly. Oh,
this being case number 3. So
let's go.
it's interesting. I don't know how this one would have scored. I sincerely do not. But boy, we sure did good on the previous. So let's do an audio check with Mini-Me as our vocal audience member. And Jun Mori from YouTube, would you mind saying a little bit of an intro?
Hello, everybody. I am Jun Komori. I am the 3D Fruit Bat VTuber of the YouTube platform. I don't believe that there are any others, and if there are, you should send them my way. Not in a sinister way. I just want to be friends with. That sounded very sinister. My apology.
It sounded fine. You're fine.
I don't know about that.
Fantastic. And as always, this is an open VC, so we may have even more guests joining us. But currently we had Bailiff Jun Mori, and I think it's going to be a wonderful stream.
I will say, I do not know how long I will be able to stay. I do have my doting Mori downstairs, and while we did share dinner, normally the weekends are when it is, hey, we're going out now. So if for some reason I dip, it is most likely because of that.
That sounds reasonable. I don't think anyone would begrudge you familial acts of kindness.
They would have to fight my mother, and I would sincerely hope that nobody wants to fight my mother.
If
you can try all you want, she will beat your ass.
If she is half the firecracker you are, she would be a fierce opponent.
Where do you think I get it from?
Man, it's been forever since I played this game. Do you know the last time I played this game, Bailiff Jun Mori?
Like on stream?
No, just in general.
Oh, well, I wonder. It's almost as if we were playtesting this like an hour ago.
It's almost as if there might be a surprise in the wings, somewhere in the works, somewhere down the line. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I gotta find me a bailiff hat, do I? Everyone, we're ready to play some Crime and Punishment. Let's start this game and remember that, oh, damn, I can't win June over then. No.
What do you mean, Mini-Me? You already have.
I think you got very good odds. I think you got very good odds. Court is still in session. Our rating will be affected by how much and what kind of information we choose. Oh, man.
Oh, my God.
I guess we're just not getting any good cases today. Man, I wish something exciting would happen. Anyway, the crime here is residential. Let me spell that correctly. Assassination.
This really is the Crime and Punishment stream ever, huh?
Yeah. Of all the streams, this is a stream. Now then.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's all put on our bailiff's hat. Remember, you're a bailiff too here, Mini-Me 96, so you got to get your hat on too. Details of this crime. I got to enable volume.
I need that shitty chiptune in my life.
I
How
do
else
too.
am I supposed to live?
It's you and me both. Well, let's look at the details of this crime. And we're going to look at the demographics. The offender is a 50-year-old black male. The victim was a 38-year-old white Jewish woman. Presidential assassination in 1984. The victim was a 38-year-old white Jewish woman.
She was pretty young for a president. Good for her. But I mean, not good for her now. Oh no. I still think
sad. I still think it's good for her. I think that she shattered that glass barrier. And she paved the way for many future endeavors. So, just not of her own. Let's take a look at the offender-victim relationship. He was 50 years old. She was 38 years old. The victim, the relationship is defined by the crime.
She didn't like her.
She was president, and that's all the reason I needed. Let's look at
I'm sorry. What was the one that we got the other day when we were playing where it was like resisting arrest and then it said like generally resisting arrest is a victimless crime.
Yes. Yes, that was actually word for word the exact phrase.
Oh my god.
However, presidential assassination does not receive such affection. He was 38, he was 50, she was 38. The offender-victim relationship is defined by the fact that she was president. The weapon used physical injury, wait for it. The victim's brain was blown out with a high-powered rifle.
Oh gosh.
The property damage or loss was $59,000.
Whoa, wait, that's a lot.
It is a lot, but I mean, murder, the previous murder by train was $1,400. An assassination could be up around $25,000. This is a presidential assassination. You can only assume that there'd be a lot more property damage or loss to make this event happen.
I don't know why my brain pivoted in like a what are the bullets that he's buying plated with gold? Like why did it cost so much?
Gold-plated bullets. You know what? When we look at his work, his employment history and where he works, that'll tell us whether he could afford $59,000 bullets.
Got it.
Let's look at the excuse given for this crime. He said he did it for publicity. Ooh, that's rough.
Well, I mean, that's not even politically charged. Just like, hey, what if I killed the president?
Yeah.
Oh no.
All right, we're going to dive deep into this one, and we're going to look at the offender's criminal record. And that includes his adult prior crime types. The offender also has committed white-collar crimes. And I might point out something on this one is that because specific crime type of information is not available, did not appear as a red flag for crashing this game, this is a good indication we're going to have a judgment on this case.
Oh boy.
The offender has also committed white-collar crimes. His prior arrests and convictions as a 50-year-old man, he has had 4 recorded prior arrests and 2 recorded prior convictions.
So he already had some eyes on him because he was already doing some stuff.
He did. And his
How the heck did he get away with this? Well, not get away with it, but the fact that he even got to the point of killing the president.
And that brings us to fugitive status on the day of the crime. Hopefully he was in the midst of setting...
please.
Mini-Me has a comment there. Sounds like a stupid YouTuber waiting to do it for content. I can see that happening.
Yeah.
All right, let's look at the fugitive status on the day of the crime. The offender is AWOL, absent without a leave.
Yeah.
So they were involved in some institution and they took off. Had to go and prep.
Gotta go.
Yeah.
Peace out.
Peace out. The offender's reputation. They are a stoolie.
Okay.
And this 50-year-old in his youth, the juvenile court blotter states, juvenile offenses include threats to a teacher.
He does not like authority.
Does not like authority. Does not like tests or having to hand in tests or pay taxes.
He had to do the presidential fitness test and he put his foot down. He has had enough.
Okay, I'm going to return to that. I'm going to put a pin in that one.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
My Canadian ass is going to put a pin in that one, but let's take a look at that pre-sentence report. And we're going to go into this 50-year-old man's personal details. The offender is separated, is frequently intoxicated, and is a college scholar. His employment history is that he is a self-employed professional. $59,000 bullets? Possibly. And let's take a look at the courtroom prosecution details. The defendant pleaded guilty. He did it for the publicity, and he owned up.
Like, I did it. Yeah, I did.
On the other hand, over in Wisconsin, the mayor of McCheeseville, or not just that, a candidate for the mayor of McCheeseville, Wisconsin says this is a test case for the system.
The president got killed. I don't need to hear it from any mayoral candidates. Go back to your duties to your constituents. I don't need to hear you talking about this judicial case. Get out of here.
And I'm just going to say that, and I cite the case of the rent is too high. A mayoral candidate does not necessarily have constituents. They're just a person vying for mayor. All right, and we're going to dive deeper into this. We're going to look at the offender's upbringing. This 50-year-old man had a happy home and was raised in suburbia.
Okay.
Couldn't have been that happy. Let's look at his mental history. He has an above average IQ.
I was hoping we get another kinky one, but yeah, sure.
Yeah. So it looks like, and I'm just going to throw this out there, it looks like the guy is incredibly milquetoast, but the whole story of this case itself lends itself to some extravagance.
Yeah.
Let's review the known facts. And we're going to look at the case of presidential assassination. The property damage or loss was $59,000. The offender-victim relationship was defined by the crime. The victim's brain was blown out with a high-powered rifle. The offender's a 50-year-old man. The victim was a 38-year-old woman. The offender said he did it for publicity. He's AWOL. He is a stoolie. The offender has also committed white-collar crimes. In his youth, the offender's juvenile offenses included threats to a teacher. He has had 4 recorded prior arrests and 2 recorded prior convictions as an adult. The defendant pleaded guilty. A mayoral candidate calls this a test case for the system. The offender had a happy home and was raised in suburbia. The offender has an above-average IQ. He is separated, he's frequently intoxicated, he's a college scholar, and he is a self-employed professional. We're going to reach a decision on this one and not choose the death penalty, but we are going to choose prison, not surprisingly.
Yeah.
Bailiff June Kawamori, I very much introduce your thoughts to this case. What do you think?
Okay, baseline always for assassination is what, like 25, and this is presidential assassination, that's 30 automatically.
Baseline 30.
He has been in the system already. He has pleaded guilty, stating that it was for publicity. He was AWOL. He had that prior thing in his juvenile court blotter about threatening a teacher. I'd boost it up to maybe what, 33 years?
A scant 3 years more for presidential assassination. I would go as high as 40.
Funny.
I'd do 40, and I would probably pull it back a little because he has had a little bit of a clean record. Like he hasn't had a clean record per se, but he hasn't done a lot. I would say 40. I'd be willing to barter not lower than 35. And
I was gonna say, yeah.
if you wanted to do 37 or so, 37 and 6 as the halfway between 40 and 35. Mini-Me 96 was going to say 40. I'm not against that.
The property damage in mind, because I feel like the property damage sways this guy by quite a lot. And what was it? We just did a random one while we were testing, and it was like 40-something thousand, and he still just put them in jail. So because it's under $100,000, I'm still gonna tack on more, but maybe we'll do, I don't know, either 37 or 38 years.
Let's round it to 38.
Okay.
Because I think that 37.5, 37 and a half, which would be 37, 6 months, would be a good variation on the whole thing. Mini-Me says 40, which was my original guess. And you're looking 37 or 38. I think 38 would be a nice roundup.
Okay. Yeah, we'll do 38.
All right, everyone. The bids are in, the chips are down, the dice has been thrown, and let's see what the outcome is. We got us.
Oh!
Yet another
okay.
Symmetrical Duck Award.
Hello, folks. You know I've been picking and trying to pick up banjos for 40 years or more.
I think I was actually closer on my first guess.
But now
Holy
I'm going
moly.
to give you a little of the variations of Casey Jones.
this music.
Ducks in chat. There we go.
Ducks in chat.
Ducks in chat, everybody.
Bam, ducks in chat, everybody. It's time.
And a trophy. Hold on.
I don't even know what that guy says, and I love it so much. We got 3 symmetrical ducks. Let me just type in symmetrical duck awards. 3.
Yippee!
We got 38 years and no months for us, and 32 years, 9 months, said the judge. So it's not a perfect score, but oh by, it does look like a bird's face, Mini-Me. It does indeed. That's the symmetrical duck award. Let's take a look at, oh, and I guess I can get rid of the Shuba Shuba. Let's take a look at how many gavels we scored. We got 9 gavels.
Nice.
It's fantastic. Presidential assassination. I think we're happy with 9 gavels. Gavels. 9. Judicial IQ. 171. And with our honorary crash of a symmetrical duck award, we're actually batting 1,000 so far tonight. Fantastic. We can be doing too much better. Are you still in for more, Bailiff June Kamori?
Oh, yeah, I can do another round.
I'm in for the long haul, and so it's just a matter of you and whether you're in for it. Let's take a look at the next case. Remember, it is how much and what kind of information that is important. The defendant is to be sentenced for the crime of daytime burglary.
Oh.
The crime here is daytime burglary. Excellent. And we're going to look at the details of this crime. I can't believe we got 3 symmetrical duck awards.
Woohoo!
And we're going to look at the demographics. The offender is a 27-year-old black Catholic male. The victim was a 23-year-old white Jewish male. The offender-victim relationship, they were strangers.
Okay, they don't even know each other. Okay.
Yep. They just kind of came into daytime burglary as is. Weapon used, physical injury, none, but property damage or loss was $800,000.
Whoa! This 23-year-old that got burglarized had more than $800,000 worth of stuff. I mean, also the house would probably have damages, so I guess that makes sense. But $800,000?
I've always, now here's an interesting thing, because it's daytime burglary and not nighttime burglary, this judge has often gone harder on daytime burglaries because it's a bit more brazen. And when I think of the word brazen, I think banks. I think that of businesses.
Oh, shit.
And so
right.
it's not necessarily that it's $800,000 as a house or a home, but rather it could be anything of severe wealth.
Holy crap, man.
Yeah. So with that said, let's look at the excuse given for this crime. The offender said he wanted money to bet on the horses. Yes, Mini-Me 96, almost $1 million.
On the horses? Why do you need to bet on the horses if you're doing $800,000 worth of property damage and loss? Just steal the money. What do you need to bet on the horses for?
Sincerely, I don't know, but that's an excellent question.
Stolen money.
Wow. All right. Let's look at the offender's criminal record. My. And we're going to look at adult prior crime types here. They include marijuana possession.
I don't care.
The
I don't care.
The prior arrests and convictions are just 2 arrests and 1 conviction in this 28-year-old's life.
For having weed. Whatever, man.
His fugitive status on the day of the crime, he was on probation. I mean, that's not really a surprise.
His probation officer is just like checking in. He's like, hey, man, I'm just coming down. Where are you? Where'd you go? Hey, I see you on my GPS. What are you doing?
Yeah, GPS. Actually, let's not forget, this was 1984. GPS wasn't even invented then.
Oh, crap. No.
The Star Wars program from Ronald Reagan, which was a satellite program to shoot down missiles, was in effect.
Oh, boy.
The offender's reputation on this day is that the offender is a political terrorist.
Well, that's not great.
And I don't think we need to look at the juvenile court blotter on this one. But we should look at the pre-sentence report and the personal details. Once again, I believe this man is 28 years old.
27?
27 years old, and he is unmarried. He doesn't use drugs, and he is a college freshman.
Oh, so he was just in possession of marijuana. Okay.
Yeah. His employment history is that he's a seasonal worker.
Okay.
And his courtroom prosecution details are that the probation officer recommends probation. That's literally his job title.
Keep me working! I need a paycheck!
He didn't even look up from his Sunday crossword. He just said probation and went back to his...
probation.
The press was excluded from the courtroom. Yeah, it's interesting. I don't think we need to look at the offender's upbringing. Mental history, perhaps, but even then, I don't think so. What do you say?
I don't think either of them are really that relevant, honestly.
Fair enough. I do want to review the known facts. And once again, while we're reviewing the known facts for everyone in chat, MiniMe96 and others, please offer up what you would do for a sentence. Would you choose prison, jail, or probation, and for how long? In the crime of daytime burglary, the property damage or loss was $800,000. The offender and the victim were strangers. There was no personal injury. The offender is a 27-year-old male. The victim was a 23-year-old male. The offender said he wanted money to bet on the horses. The offender was on probation. The offender is a political terrorist. Prior crimes include marijuana possession. He is, as an adult, had 2 recorded prior arrests and 1 recorded prior conviction. The probation officer recommends probation. The press was excluded from the courtroom. The offender is unmarried, doesn't use drugs, and is a college freshman as well. The offender is a seasonal worker. All right, everybody, throw in what you got. Should I do the primary on this one? Bailiff June Kalmori, should I?
I would say, yeah, do the primary and then we'll assess it.
Sounds good. I don't think this is probation worthy, and normally I'd give jail for burglary unless it were somewhat egregious, in which case daytime burglary I think is definitely egregious, especially to the tune of $800,000. So we're going prison. As far as time frame goes, he once again seems relatively milquetoast. His prior crimes and things of that nature were mostly for, as you stated, marijuana possession. He doesn't seem like he would do much, and yet here he is, $800,000 worth of daytime burglary. So I would give this guy, I would say 6 years. And I would normally, I like to round it to, 0, 5, 10, 15, 20. I think that 6 years is just a bump up from 5 years, and that's just due to the amount, $800,000. So I would say 6 years of prison on this one. In the chat, MiniMe96 says, I might say jail. I might say this one wrong, but jail. All right, well, that's still, I don't think that you're wrong with jail. There is no one who's right in this instance, but let's see how Bailiff June Kalmori does.
Let's see. So, yes, because of the sheer amount of property damage and loss, I would elect for prison time over jail time because it's nearly $1 million. That's a lot of money. Anything over like $500,000, it's like, oh yeah, you're going to prison. That's a lot of money. He does have a pretty quiet record otherwise. Again, just marijuana possession previously, but that's really not anything prison worthy. That's just whatever, probation. And he was on probation. But considering the fact that he was on probation while he did this in broad daylight, prison, definitely prison. If I were to assign an amount, I do agree with your assessment of normally we do round it to like 5 years, 10 years, like we give a benchmark thing. If I were to benchmark it, I would benchmark it at like 5 because it's really everything else in the case was just kind of whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I think due to the sheer amount of money, the fact he was still on parole and he did it in broad daylight, that actually sways me, I think, closer to 7 years, 7 or 8
Mm-hmm.
years.
I am definitely not against a higher number. Yeah, I'd go 8. I think that if it were burglary, 5 years, daytime burglary, and the $800,000, I would actually bump it up to 8. I wouldn't go to 10, and I think that it's 5 plus, but I think 8 would be a good high mark.
Yeah, I wouldn't go to 10, but 8, daytime, he was still on parole and managed to do this at $800,000 worth.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be 8 years.
All right. Mini-Me96 said, I wanted to say prison, but because the event, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take a look. I don't know how confident we are in our perfect score with our symmetrical ducks, but...
This man! I don't trust him!
But let's see how our luck continues. 8 years of prison. Oh, 4 years, 4 months of prison.
Dang.
Yeah, you know what? That's fine. 5 years was our benchmark. We went up, he went down.
Okay, I'm not gonna be the most angry. At least we were both on the same page of prison.
Yeah, pretty much.
Instead of like, oh yeah, just put him on parole.
Oh yeah.
You just put him on parole.
Yeah, and this guy, yeah, a month and a half of jail. Oh, I hate this judge. All right, let's take a look at the number of gavels that we got. Oh, we got 5 gavels. That's respectable. Gavels, 5. Judicial IQ is still well above 100.
Sorry, I'm grabbing a sweater because I am freezing cold in my room right now.
Mm-hmm. I am currently swaddled under blankets, about 3 layers of thermals. I am a toasty cat.
Well, I was just making dinner, so I was warm in the kitchen, and now I'm back in my room and it's cold.
So before we get into the next case, I do have to ask you, we put a pin on it. Let's return back to it. What is the presidential assessment?
Oh, the presidential fitness test. So there's this thing that if you're in public school, they add it to the curriculum of your physical education credit. And it's basically a series of different things that you are required to do to assess whether or not you are healthy, quote unquote. It's the standardized testing of physical education, and it's the worst thing ever. It's horrible. It's terrible.
I can understand a standardized test for physical health to make sure that the student body is growing up well, but why is it the worst thing ever?
So, like, the benchmark for it is damn well near like military style training with the amount of stuff they are requiring out of like a 14-year-old's body, including running a full mile, ideally in like less than 30 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah, it's some wild shit. You can search what the newest requirements are, because I think they're based on like they get updated yearly or whatever. But yeah, I had to do that when I was in school. It's not fun. I hated every minute of it. It's not. And it's not like it doesn't take into account any other like health or wellness things that the student in question might have going on. It's like, this is the benchmark. Doesn't matter what else you're going through. You got to do it. You're required to do it, and it's awful.
Yeah, no doubt. I am a skinny cat, and I had to do standardized testing back when I was in elementary school with the other skinny kittens. And of all the grades and of all the classes and of all of the education that I received, I did exceptionally well in English. I did exceptionally well in math. I failed history, I failed geography, and I failed phys ed. I'm a smart cat, and I failed phys ed. I had to be put back a year for phys ed.
God, man.
So I can relate to despising the standardized testing of educational benchmarks.
Here, I'm gonna Google it really quick.
By all means, please do. The game is secondary to the discussion, as always.
I'm gonna open this file that I downloaded. Great.
And I admit I'm curious for all things. Well, being a Canadian cat, I'm curious to Americanisms, Yankee lingo, if you would.
So they have it categorized by either boys or girls, and then by age. And then they have the list of all the different things that they are required to do and what times they expect. So for example, so there's two different ones. There's the 85th percentile, which is like the cream of the crop,
Mhm.
and then there's the 50th percentile, which is the average. The average, let's just say for a girl who is 14 to do the 1 mile run, they want you to do it in 10 minutes. 10 minutes and 6 seconds.
All right.
As an average. That's the average. Highest percentile, they want you to do it in 7 minutes 59 seconds.
Okay. So shave off 2 minutes if you're cream of the crop.
That did not happen. Like they want you to do the only one that I was ever successful at was what was it? The flexibility test. I was totally fine there because whatever, I was a flexible person, but everything else with like this and that and the other thing, doing push-ups, pull-ups, it was bad. It was bad. It's not fun.
Yeah, I remember walking for the majority of those running marathons, clocking in, okay, how fast can you do a kilometer? And I would take half an hour. I had no desire. I knew I was going to fail, so why bother?
Yeah, no, I didn't care either. I was like, I'm going to do it at whatever pace I do it at, and y'all going to deal with it. Because I don't pay for this schooling. It does not matter. I'm just trying to get to my next class without dying. I don't care.
I'm going to be a writer someday, and I'm going to sit at a desk, and I don't need to know how to do a marathon.
Yeah.
All right, that was an excellent sidetrack. Mini-Me96 says, I'm not book smart. It runs in my mom's side of the family. Was she a book?
Stop.
I'm sorry, I had to shoot that out there.
Oh my god.
There's different kinds of smarts.
There
you go. Different kinds of smarts. I'm more street smart than book smart. Actually, no, I lie.
Are you? I was gonna say, are you?
I'm definitely book smart. I'm furthest thing from street smart. Now it's time for our next case. Remember, it is how much and what kind of information that is important. Oh, the defendant is to be sentenced for the crime of operating a pyramid scheme.
Oh boy, this might be my last case before I dip for the night as well, because I'm starting to hit that wall.
That's fine. That wall was meant to be hit. I don't even know what that means. All right.
It's part of the presidential fitness test. Hit the wall.
Here you go.
Slap it.
Slap that wall and run back to the starting line. Do it 30 times over. Let's look at the details of this crime. In the crime of operating a pyramid scheme, the demographics are that the offender is a 37-year-old white male. The victims are the state and the people. In the offender-victim relationship, the offender said that the victim should have been more careful.
I always wait for I haven't seen the line in so long.
The disappointment is palpable. The offender said that the victim should have been more careful in operating a pyramid scheme. The weapon used physical injury was none, but the property damage or loss was $210.
This is the worst pyramid scheme ever.
We're just getting started.
You didn't even that's less than one of my paychecks. What do you mean?
Or it was an incredibly successful pyramid scheme, but he was only charging 5 cents.
Or it was an incredibly successful pyramid scheme for one person. Just one person.
Just got one on board
Oh,
and got
well, he
caught.
should have been more careful.
The excuse given for this crime. Is that he said he needed money to support a drug habit.
I don't think that's gonna buy him anything.
Well, here's the other part of this is that this person gained $210. If that was only the start of the pyramid scheme, then they were banking that they would get $500 or $1 million worth of money to support a drug habit, but which is a lot of money. Or if this was a successful pyramid scheme, then he had a very low drug habit, and he was charging a nickel.
Very cheap drugs.
Yeah. Either way, this is the stupidest response to this operating a pyramid scheme. And I can't remember what the demographics were. It was a 37-year-old male. Let's look at his criminal record, and we're going to look at adult prior crime types. They include con games.
Oh, so this is his variety.
Yeah. He doesn't step out of his domain too often. Well, let's look at the prior arrests and convictions. This 38-year-old man had...
For his single con game? He's so bad at this! He got arrested for his con game and convicted, and now he got arrested and will be convicted for his one singular pyramid scheme.
I hope his offender's reputation is the sad man or something. All right, let's look at the fugitive status on the day of the crime. Oh, he's not a fugitive. Not for lack of trying.
Well...
The offender's reputation. He's sexually aberrant. For whatever reason.
Good for him?
Yeah, good for him. I mean, you can tie that into this the pyramid scheme.
What kind of pyramid scheme is he running here?
One that involves him on top.
Oh God.
There, that's all I got. Good night, everybody.
See y'all next time.
Yeah, thanks for showing up. The pre-sentence report is the personal details. The offender is cohabiting, drinks moderately, and is an expellee from a boarding school. Huh.
Oh, that's
The
something.
the employment history is that he is a software distributor. And the courtroom prosecution details are that the defendant squealed on his accomplice upon bracket S.
He had accomplices?
Yeah. $210 worth of accomplices. The newspapers call for action, I guess. We need action.
What are the odds that the reason that the newspapers are calling for action is because the dude who got pyramid schemed is one of their own? They're like, this is an outrage! Our dude got scammed! $210 worth.
Oh, man.
God.
We need action. Yeah.
Everyone's like, okay. Yeah, sure.
Good thing the other paper's in town. Do we need to look at the offender's upbringing or mental history? I say no, unless for comedic purposes. And even then...
It's really not that necessary.
No, it's not. Let's, do we even need to review the known facts on this one either?
No. This is so stupid.
Pretty cut and dry, pretty stupid case. 38-year-old guy, he did a pyramid scheme and $210. And it sucked, and he got caught. Yeah. Not much to be said about that. Actually, I am curious about one thing, details of the crime offender-victim relationship. He said that the victims should have been more careful. So he realizes that it happened. He's not claiming guilt, but he is saying that, oh, those people should have been more careful. Boy. Jail 2 years?
Yeah, I was gonna say just call the parole officer, but
Mm,
honestly, if he's gonna be like, "Oh, they should be more careful," and he's like,
yeah,
"I need it for drugs. I need the
yeah.
money for drugs," we're gonna put him in jail.
All right, that sounds about right.
He just sounds like a really sad alcoholic.
It does. He really kind of does. And a con man. He's like, oh, prior crimes include con games. Oh no, I got caught for con games.
Put him in for like what, a year and a half or 2 years? Just be
Actually,
like, dude.
I sincerely thought a year and a half. So I said 2 years, but I was in my mind downgrading it to a year and a half. I would happily do a year and a half in
He's
jail.
just a sorry sap. Yeah,
kinda
a
is.
year and a half.
All right. Mini Me 96 says jail. We're in full agreement. Let's take a look at how he did. 6 years of probation, which,
What?
I mean, I can understand. I think it's a little heavy-handed. Although we were heavy-handed and 6 years of probation was light.
Listen, I would rather he just be in jail for a year and a half than have a parole officer for 6 years.
Yeah, I
He's just
agree.
sorry and sad. We
I
don't
agree.
need to be spending money for 6 years for somebody to check in on him all the time.
Yeah.
Just do the time in jail, get away from the alcohol for a while, and it's easier.
I fully agree. This is one of those contradictory cases where
It's silly.
yeah, it's silly. Well, that ruins our perfect streak, but let's find out how many gavels we got on this one.
3.
Oh yeah.
God! Only one!
Boy, did we ever descend on that one. One
God
gavel.
damn it.
And our judicial IQ for the first time this evening has dipped well below 100. And speaking of dipped,
Yeah, I literally just yawned as you were saying that.
don't worry, I yawned while you were giving your case summary.
Oh, God.
Minimi 96 says, I thought probation earlier. Minimi 96, why didn't you assert yourself more?
Don't you yell at Mini-Me. You leave him out of it.
So everyone, I want to once again introduce and maybe extroduce, because that's the opposite of introduce, the wonderful June Kawamori, bailiff extraordinaire. She has her own YouTube channel. Would you care to outro yourself further?
Yeah, I'm here on YouTube. You can find me under the same name. I do silly things like karaoke and silly old games, and it's a good time, and people like to talk to me or something, I guess.
And not only that, but June has recently celebrated having 300 subs, and that's a remarkable effort. If you're watching this either live or on VOD and you haven't subscribed to June Kawamori, please do make it closer to the 400 and 500 mark.
That is very sweet of you. Once we hit 500 and hit monetization, I will do things that I will surely regret later.
Boy, if that's not a dangled carrot, I don't know what is. So, on that note, you take care. You have yourself a very good evening, Bailiff June Kawamori, and
Thank you.
say hi to your mom, who's also twice the firecracker you are.
Oh, yes, I will indeed. Have a good night, everybody. Have a good night, Tethercat Mini-Me. I'll see you around.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Fantastic. That was Bailiff June Kawamori, and we have more content that we can run through. Let's pull Translation Chan up. Let's get some music back on. Let's make sure that all of our settings are up and running. We can toss that symmetrical duck award down here, and let's rename it in OBS to number 3. That was fantastic. What a great evening we're all having so far. Minimi 96 says goodbye, June, and I think that you're justified. That didn't work. Let's rename, and we'll just call this Additional Plus. There we go. Excellent. Our OBS is now caught up and on track. Well, We are still in for the long haul. It's getting close to the bottom of the hour, but we have many more cases to do. Let's take a look at the next case. Remember, it is how much and what kind of information that is important. The defendant is to be sentenced for the crime of auto theft. Crime? Auto theft. Oh, that's interesting, and that can get exciting. It seems like the desktop is getting a little cluttered, so I think... Oh, I know what I can do. Where's the foobar window? I think that's it right there. Wish I knew where to put that. I have no knowledge on court stuff. I'm sorry. No, don't apologize in the least, Mini-Me 96. You're as much a part of this excitement as the rest of us. None of us are sanctioned officials by the court of law. Where should I put this third symmetrical dock award? Actually, let's place it up here. Let's put the third symmetrical dock award right up here. Fantastic. We got 3 symmetrical dock awards. Okay. Well, this crime is auto theft. Let's take a look at the details of this crime. And we're going to look at the demographics. The offender is a 48-year-old white Catholic male. The victim was a 57-year-old Hispanic male. The offender-victim relationship. They were friends. The weapon used and physical injury, there was none. Property damage or loss was $1,905. The excuse given for this crime, the offender said he wanted money to bet on the horses. So right now we got a $1,905 auto theft, property damage or loss, by a 48-year-old who wanted money to bet on the horses. Let's look at the offender's criminal record. And we are actually, I'm going to briefly pause for a moment. Pardon me as I coughed there. We're going to look at the adult prior crime types. They include incest. Yikes. Let's look at prior arrests and convictions. This adult has had 4 prior recorded arrests and 4 recorded prior convictions. The fugitive status on the day of the crime is that the offender has no holds. And we're going to look at the offender's reputation. They are a regular churchgoer. Let's take a look at the pre-sentence report on this one. We're going to look at personal details. The offender is divorced, drinks cheap wine, and has a correspondence school degree. His employment history is that he's a scientist. Ooh, good for him. Correspondence school degree and he's a scientist? Well done. The court and prosecution details. The defendant gave the police information on other serious crimes. A radio commentator calls you soft. And I don't think we need to look at the offender's upbringing or mental history. Yoo-hoo, Sweet Home Alabama case. Quite possibly. Quite possibly. Man, I love that song. Let's review the known facts on this one. In the crime of auto theft, property damage or loss was $1,905. The offender and the victim were friends. There was no personal injury. The offender is a 48-year-old man. The victim was a 57-year-old man. The offender said he wanted money to bet on the horses. The offender has no holds. The offender is a regular churchgoer. Prior crimes include incest. The recorded priors include 4 recorded prior arrests and 4 recorded prior convictions. The defendant gave police information on other serious crimes. A radio commentator calls you soft. The offender is divorced, drinks cheap wine, and has a correspondence school degree. Also, the offender is a scientist. Well, for you in chat, for you mini-me, for everyone watching, let's decide on what we're going to do. Toss it in. Remember to put what you would do and for how long. I think... My. Pardon me. I think that... Well, it is auto theft. It's not grand theft auto, but it is auto theft. For $1,900, $5 more. Nothing really happened, and he gave the police information on other serious crimes. So I'm willing to go jail. I don't think it's probation. And I do think it could be prison. And if it's prison, it's only for like 2 years. But I think jail. And I would do 36 months of jail. I would do 3 years of jail for this. Or would I? It's only $1,900. Oh, Amy 96, you say prison, do ya? I'll tell you what, you know what? I'm balking on jail time, so I'll go with yours, prison. If you have an amount of time that you'd like to suggest, by all means, I'm willing to hear it. I wouldn't go for very long in prison. I'd do 2 years max. I'd almost do 1 year and 6 months in prison if I had to guess, but I'm curious what you would say. Oh, pardon me. Pardon me. I can't see it being, it's only auto theft for $1,900. I think this guy could be rehabilitated, so I can't, yeah, 2 or 3. I'll tell you what, I'll go up as high as 2 years. I'll meet you there. I'll go as high as 2 years of prison. I cannot see it being any more. If the amount of $1,905 was more, okay, I could see that. But it's just $1,900. He didn't cause much damage. He could pay that off. It would take him a little while, but he could pay that off. So I don't think that excessive prison time is worthy. I mean, I'm hesitant on 2 years prison, to be honest, but I'll run with it. I will. Let's take a look. Once again, we're scoring this off you, and I'm putting on a napkin that might be 1.5 years, but I'm still going 2 years with you. Let's take a look at how Mini-Me 96 scored. 8 years and 4 months of probation. Our 2-year prison sentence was heavy. And you know what? Maybe it was. I don't see it being probation worthy, though. The court can definitely be picky sometimes. Absolutely, I fully agree. I don't know that we were heavy. But, anyway. 8 years, 4 months of probation. Let's see how many gavels we got. I'm hopeful it's more than one, honestly. Unfortunately, we only got 1 gavel on that one. And our judicial IQ has declined to 72. But honestly, I'm all right with all of this because we've had a spectacular start. We had a great time with Jun Kaomori. And we're still running strong. But what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to say hydration check, everybody. Everybody, hydration check. That's nice. Okay. All right. Ours was a bit heavy, but it stopped him from keep doing it. Fully agree. I fully agree. All right. let's take a look at our next case. Remember, it is how much and what kind of information that is important. The defendant is to be sentenced for the crime of loitering. Oh, Bailiff Jr. would have liked this one. The crime is loitering. And let's look at the details of this crime. The demographics are that the offender is a 27-year-old Oriental male. The victims are the state and the people. Generally, loitering is a victimless crime. The weapon used physical injury was none, and the property damage or loss was none. The excuse given for the crime of loitering. He said he loitered at his child's death. He was upset at his child's death, so he decided to loiter. All right, I guess. Let's look at the offender's criminal record. And we're looking at his adult prior crime types. They include drug pushing. So here's a guy who is hanging around a 7-Eleven at night. And he's upset that his child died. But you know what? Even though it might generally be a victimless crime, his prior crimes include drug pushing. His prior arrests and convictions are 6 recorded prior arrests and 1 recorded prior conviction. Suddenly this crime doesn't seem like it's all that victimless. Let's take a look at his fugitive status on the day of the crime. He left a drug detoxification program because of course he did. We definitely need to see the offender's reputation. He's also known as Scarface. Wow. The narrative of this case is wrapping nicely. Let's take a look at the pre-sentence report. We're going to look at the offender's personal details. The offender is recently widowed. Ooh. Is addicted to caffeine. He is also a parochial school graduate. He's a man of the cloth. His employment history, he's a media star. Once again, I'll remind everybody, this is 1984 that this game came out, so think about what a media star would be in 1984, and there you are. The courtroom prosecution details: the defendant was bound and gagged during the trial. A TV reporter predicts you, the player, will imprison the defendant. A TV reporter predicts that you, the player, will imprison the defendant in the crime of loitering. Well, let's look at the known facts. We have to look at the known facts on this. And as always, for everyone in chat, if everyone wants to put their bid in on what their decision is and the length of time, we'll assess that later. Let's review the known facts. In the crime of loitering, there was no monetary loss, and there was also no personal injury. Because generally, loitering is a victimless crime. The offender is a 27-year-old male. The victims are the state and the people. The offender claimed he was upset at his child's death. The offender left a drug detoxification program on the day of the crime. He is also known as Scarface. His prior crimes include drug pushing. He has had 6 recorded prior arrests and 1 recorded prior conviction. The defendant was bound and gagged during the trial. A TV reporter predicts you will imprison the defendant. The offender is recently widowed, is addicted to caffeine, and is a parochial school graduate. The offender is a media star. Whew. Well now, what a chaotic and crazy case for just loitering. I am going to go against the decision of the TV reporter and say that this is not prison worthy. Not even close. I'm hesitant to say that it's even jail worthy. Mini-me, he lost his kid and all. We don't know that. That didn't come out in the facts of the case. What did come out about his family life was that he's recently widowed, and he said he was upset at the death of his child. Now, far be it for any of us to say that claiming that one's offspring is merely a claim, merely an excuse given for a crime, and that it didn't actually happen. However, I don't know. I'm always skeptical. Like, other people say that the devil made him do it. So, did the devil make them do it? This guy says that he was upset at his child's death. You know what? I'll give it to you, Mini-Me. I will give it to you. He probably and most likely did lose his child. He most likely did. But still, to use that as his excuse is slimy. You're guessing jail time, eh? He's a media star, and that doesn't excuse what he did, and that doesn't condone what he did. It doesn't even hold him to a higher authority than others, or even say that he should have known better. But the fact that he has had prior arrests and convictions, and some of those have included drug pushing, and the fact that he got out of a drug detoxification on the day of, and the fact that this is loitering is the crime, I would give jail. I'd agree with you on this one. It could be probation, but I definitely think that the correlation of drug-related instances in his past states that jail time it is. But I wouldn't be heavy on it. I would say I'd give a month and 15 days. I'd give a month and a half in jail. I can't see it being much more than that. I really can't. I can't. And I'll tell you, this green guy, he's probably going to say probation. Once again, probably around 6 years of probation. And maybe we should go that way too, but I'm going to say a month and a half of jail. Let's take a look at how we scored. We crashed, which means that we get an honorary 10 gavels. Gavels. 10 honorary. Well, unfortunately, that's how it goes, right? Let's reset and do a hard reset. And then let's boot it back up and get it ready for the next case. That's a little bit of a downer. The downer is that we spent so much time wondering about a case of loitering. We should have just instantly put 5 years of probation and ran on to the next. Oh well, these things happen. Let's take a quick bio break, because we've been here an hour and a quarter. So we're gonna set forward a bio break for 5 minutes. And we'll return 21:50. And there we go, we're back. Welcome back, everybody. Second half of Crime and Punishment. Hope everyone had a good bio break. I was able to get up, stretch. I looked in my fridge for some snackage and I found an apple pie. And so once this stream is concluded, I'm going to eat an apple pie. Welcome back, absolutely Mini-Me 96. Thanks for being here for the long haul, as well as anyone else who might be joining in either the live chat or the VOD later. But for the time being, court is now in session. Our rating will be affected by how much and what kind of information we so choose. Ooh, this is really loud in my ears. Okay. The defendant is to be sentenced for the crime of forgery. That's an interesting one, eh? Crime. Forgery. And let's take a look at the details of this crime. We're going to look at the demographics. The offender is a 39-year-old Native American woman. The victims are the state and the people. The offender-victim relationship? The offender said that the victim should have been more careful. Crime is forgery, and this 39-year-old woman says should have been more careful. The weapon used physical injury was none, but the property damage or loss was $1.2 million. So already we got a bit of an interesting case now, don't we? Let's look at the excuse given for this crime. The offender said the devil made her do it. The devil made her forge for up to $1.2 million. That's quite the excuse. Let's look at the offender's criminal record. And we're going to look at adult prior crime types. They include gambling. Damn what? I agree. Let's look at prior arrests and convictions. And the recorded prior arrests are 4 recorded prior arrests with 2 recorded prior convictions. Fugitive status on the day of the crime. The offender dropped an Alcoholics Anonymous program. Wow. And let's look at the offender's reputation. This 38-year-old woman is a troublemaker. I want to make sure I got that right. Details of the crime. Is she 38 years old? She's 39 years old. Let's look at the pre-sentence report. And we're going to look at personal details. The offender is honeymooning. Oh, congratulations. She doesn't drink, and she is a high school dropout. Oh, her employment history is that she's a shop steward. That doesn't really seem like someone who would forge for $1.2 million now, does it? The courtroom prosecution details the defendant pleaded guilty. That makes things very easy. 60 Minutes demands an interview. And I don't think we need to look at the offender's upbringing or mental history on this one. Do we even need to review the known facts? We know that she's 39 years old and she pleaded guilty to forging for $1.2 million because the devil made her do it. I think we can reach a decision on this one. And we will be putting her away in prison. Forgery to the point of $1.2 million is nothing to sneeze at. I would suggest that she goes away for 5 years. 5 years of prison. I think a flat 5. I can't see it being 10 years of prison. It might be. I just can't see it. You know, she hasn't done too much else. Yeah, prison. She's... I don't know. I mean, she's been in the system, but... I just generally don't think that there's anything further than the 5 years of prison. I can't even... I find it hard to justify 5 years of prison, except for the $1.2 million. So I'm going to put it at 5 years prison. It might be more. but it might be less. Let's find out how we ranked. Jail for 2 years. 21 months of jail, 22 days, as opposed to 5 years of prison. For forgery of $1.2 million, this judge sentenced for under 2 years of jail time. That, to me, is light. That, to me, is exceptionally light. Yeah. I think ours might have been heavy, but not terribly heavy. However, let's take a look at how many gavels we got. We did get 3 gavels, and that's more than 1, and that's a good thing. Let's see, gavels. 3. Judicial IQ 52. You're not ready for this court. You'd be more comfortable on a different bench in Central Park. Nah. Well. You haven't done any physical damage. Incidentally, Mini-Me, I am curious about something, and I'm going to throw this at you. And you know what? This is not on you. This is just more of a suggestion. But because there's a little bit of a lag between what we are saying and then your responses, I'm curious. Are you watching the stream in real time? Can you fast forward right now as you're watching? Can you fast forward and see if you can skip ahead in time? I only say this because I was watching one of June Kawamori's streams about a month or 2 ago. She was asking for help and I was offering help. And I realized that I was actually 30 seconds behind her stream. And she was already resolving the things that I was suggesting. And I felt very bad. And I was able to fast forward and skip ahead to the moment that she was saying stuff. So it was a closer and near real-time thing. And I only say that because there is a little bit of lag on your end. And I'd like to offer that if you would care to take a look, if you can skip forward, you might be able to catch up to the more recent pace. And if not, don't worry about it. We're still playing just fine as is. And with that said, then I'll let you do a double tap on the right side of your phone. It is slow here. Yeah, and that's fine. Once again, that's fine. Not to worry. We'll play as is, and it's only because of my own experiences with lag. I just wanted to throw that at you as an option. But again, don't worry about it. Let's take a look at our next case. Remember, it is how much and what kind of information that is important. The defendant is to be sentenced for the crime of carrying a concealed weapon. Crime. Carrying concealed weapon. And if chat and if Mini-Me96, if anyone recalls, these can be very interesting cases. Sometimes these can be very interesting cases. Oh, you don't suck at this game so badly. The fact that we got 3 symmetrical duck awards this game is phenomenal. I have gotten this game so many. I've been playing this game since 1984. I've been playing this game for decades, and 1 gavel is my par. I suck at this game as much as everyone else, so don't feel bad. We all suck at this game. It's intentional. Let's take a look at the details of this crime. In the crime of carrying a concealed weapon, the demographics are that the offender is a 55-year-old white Jewish male. The victims are the state and the people. The offender-victim relationship, society is the victim. Good, we got one of them. The weapon used physical injury. The weapon was a zip gun, and as we learned in one of the previous games, a zip gun is a homemade gun. The property damage or loss was none, and the excuse given for this crime is that he said he was upset at his child's death. He was upset at his child's death, so he created a homemade zip gun and carried it around with him. Concealed. Let's look at the offender's criminal record. And we're going to look at adult prior crime types. This 55-year-old's prior crimes include robberies, prior arrests and convictions, 12 recorded prior arrests, and 6 recorded prior convictions. This person has been busy. Fugitive status on the day of the crime is that he was on parole. Wow. For any of his many crimes. The offender's reputation, he's known as Lucky. Well, I think that's an ironic nickname. He's called Lucky with irony by the people he surrounds himself with. And let's look at the pre-sentence report. The personal details for Lucky is that he's divorced, he drinks cheap wine, and he is a junior high school graduate. His employment history is that he's a police officer. Officer Lucky. Yay! Let's look at the prosecution in courtroom detail. The probation officer recommends prison. The press was excluded from the courtroom. Oh, I don't think we need to look at the offender's upbringing or mental history, but I definitely want to review the known facts. In the crime of carrying a concealed weapon with Lucky the police officer. Why? There was no monetary loss. Society is the victim. The weapon was a zip gun. Again, he's a police officer. The offender is a 55-year-old man. The victims are the state and the people. The offender said he was upset at his child's death. Ooh, the narrative on this story. He was upset at his child's death, so he carried a concealed weapon that he created. The offender was on parole. Wow. He's known as Lucky. His prior crimes include robberies. How did he become a police officer? He's had 12 recorded prior arrests and 6 convictions. The probation officer recommends prison. The press was excluded from the courtroom. The offender is divorced, drinks cheap wine, is a high school graduate, junior high school graduate, and the offender is a police officer. And I want to point this out here. The offender is present tense a police officer. It's his current job. He wasn't a past tense police officer. He currently is a police officer. He's just on parole. All right. With that said, let's reach a decision. And again, Mini-Me96 and anyone else in chat, if you have a judgment, if you want to pass some punishment, please by all means say which one of the 3 options you would choose, as well as an amount. Whew. Well, the crime itself is carrying a concealed weapon. That's the crime. Right there, that's the crime. It's carrying a concealed weapon. And honestly, external to many of the factors of the case, nothing happened. There was no property damage or loss, and there were no victims. So on that alone, I would say probation. On that alone, with nothing really having happened, I would say probation. Then we get into some of the more external items. Mini-Me96 saying prison, I believe, and honestly, I wouldn't blame you. First and foremost, this man is a police officer currently. He should know better. He should be upheld to a higher standard in the eyes of the law. Not only that, but he has been in the system. He has committed robberies in his 55 years of life. He has had 12 recorded prior arrests and 6 recorded prior convictions. He was on parole on the day of this crime of carrying a concealed weapon. And so while I think that he just deserves probation, he deserves much more. This game is twisting my mind. Oh, welcome to the crowd, Mini-Me96. You know this game. You know the pain that we feel. Welcome. So it should be, it's just a concealed weapon. It should be probation. It should be. It should not be a prison sentence for carrying a concealed weapon. Although, you know what? I could see that. I could see this being you know, if it was an open carry, that might be jail, that might be probation, that might even be illegal. But concealed weapon? Alright, I would give 1 year of prison. And honestly, I want to give a lot more. I want to give so much more. I could go for a little time in jail. Yeah. I'm with you, Mini-Me. But I don't want this to be light probation. Oh no, sirree, no indeed, Bobby. I'm gonna say I've never in the history of the decades I've played, I've never seen 10 years of probation. I've never seen double digits. So I'm gonna go. It's just carrying a concealed weapon. I'm gonna say 8 years of probation. I'm gonna say 8 years of probation. I don't want to do 1 year of prison, and I want to do 5 years of jail, but it's gonna be 8 years of prison. It is only carrying a concealed weapon. All right, let's see how I did. 8 years of probation. 3 years of prison. Grumble, 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 grumble. Yeah, 12 arrests. Yeah. That one's on me. All right, let's get some scores going on here. Man, I'm kicking myself. 1 gavel. Perhaps I should study medicine. I should not second guess myself. Gavels. 1. Judicial IQ. 31. I don't know. And even if I did that, I would have just said a year of prison. Oh, that one's painful. But that one's on me. Like, I accept that one. There's some where this green guy, he's completely out of whack, but honestly, I shouldn't have double guessed myself. Oh well, hey, that's how it rolls. Welcome, it's time for our next case. Remember, it is how much and what kind of information. That is important. Honestly, real life court is unpredictable. Yeah, I don't doubt it. I mean, in real life, court is subject to the conditions of the case, the conditions of the court itself, the judge, the setting. Oh, so many factors. All we're getting here are 15 snippets of a 1984 spreadsheet. So yeah, this game is equally as unpredictable as a modern court case. And I think we just proved that. Let's look at the next case. Oof, that's a rough one, and we're just going to skip straight past it. And we're going to go to the next case. This case is for the crime of aiding and abetting a felon. Okay. So a felony happened, and this person is being sentenced for the crime of aiding and abetting that felon. Let's look at the details of this crime. The demographics are: the offender is a 47-year-old white Protestant male. The victims are the state and the people. The offender-victim relationship society is the victim. The weapon used physical injury was none, and the property damage or loss is none. The excuse given why this person aided and abetted a felon: he said he had an irresistible urge to aid and abet a felon. That's an interesting thing. If we construct a narrative just simply around those two facts, then it could be something like a burglar runs into a home and says, listen, they're wanting me for burglary, but I didn't do it. Can you help me out the back window so I can claim my innocence and clear my identity? And this person here says, sure, I'll help you out the back window, run, I'll stall for time. And then they get arrested, and then they get charged for aiding and abetting a felon. They had an irresistible urge to aid and abet a felon. We don't know what that is, but that's a possible narrative. Let's take a look at the offender's criminal record. And we're going to take a look at all prior crime types. They include muggings. Oh, that doesn't spell good things. This 47-year-old has had 1 recorded prior arrest and 1 recorded prior conviction. And their fugitive status on the day of the crime is that they left a drug detoxification program. I don't think we need the offender's reputation on this one. Let's look at the pre-sentence report. In this 47-year-old man's personal details are that he is cohabiting, he's a teetotaler, and he has a high school equivalence diploma. His employment history is that he's a psychiatrist. Oh, well, good for you. And the courtroom prosecution details the defendant was held in contempt of court. Ooh, that's not good. Letters to you urged leniency, but those letters weren't there when the defendant was held in contempt of court. And I don't think we need to see the offender's upbringing or mental history. Also, I don't think we need to review the known facts. We've seen what's going on here. So, 47-year-old man, the crime is aiding and abetting a felon. Although nothing else happened, the defendant was held in contempt of court for some reason. And the prior crimes include muggings with 1 recorded prior arrest and conviction. But honestly, this is a nothing of a crime. So, given that we're going to tack some additional time onto the case because of the contempt of court aspect, I think it's going to be simply jail and not for too terribly long. I would say 2 months of jail. That's mostly like a month. You know what? I'll do 3 months. I'll do 2 months of jail, and then I'll tack on a 3rd month simply for the contempt of court. There we go. 3 months of jail for aiding and abetting a felon. Let's see how we did. Ooh, 17 months. A year and a half of jail is what this judge said. Almost a year and 3/4 jail. That's a lot heavier than my sentence, so 3 months, I'll tell you that. We're going to go into our score. And I know I didn't consult you on that one, Mini-Me, and I apologize, and anyone else in chat I might add. But it just seemed like a pretty cut and dry case. We'll head back into everyone's suggestions in a moment once we get into another case. But for the moment, our gavels on that case were 1, and our judicial IQ is plummeting like a rock, currently sitting at 21. All right. Oh, let's break this streak. Remember, Mini-Me96, remember when you said, I suck at this game, and I said, oh, no, we all do? I think I'm proving this point. Well, now it's time for our next case. Remember, it is how much and what kind of information that is important. The defendant is to be sentenced for the crime of bribery. Spelled that wrong. I put bribery. The statue of Bribberty. It's fine. I don't know how to answer anymore. You know what? I don't know how to answer anymore either. But the show must go on. Let's and honestly, who knows how that last case would have been scored anyway. Let's take a look. I think I was, you know what? Here's the thing. I think that I was really thrown off by the case prior where I really got thrown off my balance. So Let's get back on that balance here with this crime of bribery. Let's look at the details of this crime. The demographics in the crime of bribery. The offender is a 58-year-old black Protestant male. The victim was a 50-year-old white Mormon woman. The offender-victim relationship, they were friends. The crime is bribery, and these guys were friends. The weapon used physical injury was none, but the property damage or loss, oh, interestingly, was none. So the defendant bribed his friend with nothing. And the excuse given for this crime said the reason was political. So nothing happened. This is another case where nothing happened. The excuse given for this crime was the reason was political. Let's take a look at the offender's criminal record. And this 58-year-old man's adult prior crime types include unavailable specific crime type. Prior arrests and convictions are nothing. He's clean as a whistle. 58 years old. He's clean as a whistle. Fugitive status on the day of the crime is that he has no rap sheet. I'm curious to the offender's reputation. But is it relevant? Yeah, it is. How can someone this clean be charged with a crime of bribery? We're looking at the offender's reputation. The offender is also known as the Doc. Let's look at the pre-sentence report. And we're going to look at personal details. This 58-year-old is engaged to be married. Well, congratulations. He doesn't use drugs. He's an expellee from a reformatory. And his employment history is that he's a self-employed professional. The courtroom prosecution details trial evidence revealed the defendant as a ringleader? What? Trial evidence in this crime of bribery, trial evidence revealed the defendant as a ringleader. Wow. A state commission investigates you, the player, for corruption. I mean, I'm corrupt, but that doesn't have anything to do with this case. I think we're all a little corrupt. We don't need to look at the offender's upbringing or mental history. Wow, that's... Okay, I definitely want to review the known facts if he's a ringleader. So once again, while we're doing this, please, by all means, everyone in chat, Minime96 included, throw in what you think your verdict would be and for how long that should be. In this crime of bribery, ringleader of what? I sincerely don't know, but this person is involved with bribery. In the crime of bribery, the offender and the victim, I definitely agree with you. I definitely think we missed something here, and that's definitely why we're throwing in this review the known facts. There was no monetary loss, and there was no personal injury. The offender and the victim were friends. The offender is 58 years old. The victim was a 50-year-old woman. Okay, so there was a victim. She was 50. The offender said the reason was political. He has no rap sheet. He's known as the Doc. And he has had no recorded prior arrests or convictions, and his specific crime type information is unavailable as an adult crime type. But this is where it gets interesting. Trial evidence revealed the defendant as a ringleader. A state commission investigates you, the player, for corruption. The offender is engaged to be married, doesn't use drugs, is an expellee from a reformatory, and he is a self-employed professional. The ringleader thing is definitely the hook. You and me are on board with that. Oh, my. But we have to try this case as bribery. We have to consider that this case is only about bribery, and is bribery a federal crime? It might be, but I think in this case it's jail worthy because nothing happened. There was no damages, no property loss. There was a victim. She was 50 years old, but meh. He claims it was political. But he's a ringleader. I think if we put him away for 6 months of jail, that will allow the system to look into him. If he's a ringleader of something, 6 months should be enough to at least get started on a case against him. It'll have him out of in the system and out of society for long enough. Yeah, jail indeed. So I'm going to say 6 months of jail on this one. And maybe it could be more, but honestly, it's bribery and nothing happened. I think 6 months of jail. Let's take a look at our score. 2 months of jail. Yeah. I went 6 to keep him in the system. I can see 2 months, well, nearly 3 months of jail. I can see that. Still, though, I think we're going to get more than 1 gavel. Well, let's take a look. We got 4 gavels on that one. That's not bad. Might be ready to handle traffic court. Gavels. 4. I just got a message from someone, and I'm just gonna... Now, join. We might have another... We might very well have another player, and in this case, we have Bailiff Stormy. Bailiff Stormy, we are broadcasting live on YouTube. How are you doing on this evening?
Doing pretty darn good. How are you?
I am doing exceptionally fantastic. Thank you for asking. We just wrapped up a case, and I'm typing into the chat that we have a judicial IQ of 31. And now...
Ooh, 4 gavels. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. It wasn't great. It was one of them curveballs. Let me just get set up here, and I'm going to... We've already had quite the storied evening. I'm going to remove the foo bar, and I'm going to throw you in. Yeah, we can do that. We can do that. I'm going to throw you in, and Bailiff Stormy. There we go. Welcome everybody in chat, and that includes Minime96, who has been contributing to the chat room. Welcome Bailiff Stormy, and we're going to continue on with our next case. Are you ready to dive into the next case?
Oh, of course. I'm ready and waiting.
It sounds great. Now it's time for our next case. Remember, it is how much and what kind of information that is important. And in this case, the crime of insider stock trading. That's an interesting one. Insider stock trading. Fantastic. Let's look at the details of this crime. The details of this crime are that the demographics include a 29-year-old Native American male. The victims are the state and the people. The offender-victim relationship. Society is the victim. The weapon used...
I blame society. I blame society.
As well you should. The weapon used physical injury. There was none. The property damage or loss for insider stock trading was $1.4 million. That's a lot of insider stock trading.
Yes, that is.
And that's 1984 money as well. And let's look at the excuse given for this crime. The offender said he didn't do it. Wow. That's, so this 29-year-old male says that he didn't do $1.4 million of insider stock trading. Minime96 says, wait, what? That's right. Let's look at the offender's criminal record. And for adult prior crime types, a specific crime type of information is unavailable. And I will remind everyone that usually when we see this notification, that sometimes it means it's a red flag that the game could crash, but we'll keep that in mind. The prior arrest...
When that happens, we win.
That's right. We get a... we do the house rule that our judgment is the correct judgment. And we get 10 gavels and an honorary duck award.
Something, we win.
Something, we win. Let's look at the adult prior arrests and convictions for this 29-year-old, and he has had 6 recorded prior arrests.
But 0 convictions.
That's right, and we don't know what his arrests or convictions were. Although his fugitive status on the day of the crime of doing $1.4 million of insider stock trading, the offender is not a fugitive. And if I recall, he said he didn't do it. Let's just rewind back. Excuse him for the crime. He said he didn't do it. So he's claiming innocence. He's had 6 arrests, but he's not a fugitive on the day of this crime, and he's claiming innocence. Do we need to look at the offender's reputation?
Yes, that'd be a good idea.
All right. The offender is active in politics.
Well, there's his crime right there.
And what would that be?
Being in politics.
All right. I'll take your word for that. Just the criminal act of being a politician. And we're going to look at the pre-sentence report here, and we're going to look at personal details. The offender is single. He abstains from drinking, and he is a recipient of Reform School honors. Oh, that's actually quite good. His employment history, this 29-year-old man is a white-collar worker. The courtroom prosecution details the defendant gave up his Confederates. A radio commentator calls you soft. Mimi 96 in chat says that yes, Bailiff Stormy, you're right. The defendant gave up his Confederates in the crime of $1.4 million of insider stock trading. Radio commentator calls us soft. Oh, and did we want to look at either the offender's upbringing or mental history? Personally, I say no.
I can live without it. Especially with the mom axe murdering the dad
all
the time.
Yeah, all the time. Seems to be the common thread that appears. All right, let's look at the review the known facts portion. And in the crime of insider stock trading, the property damage or loss was $1.4 million. Society is the victim. There was no personal injury, however. The offender is a 29-year-old male. The victims are the state and the people. The offender says he didn't do it, and the offender is not a fugitive on the day of the crime. The offender is active in politics. And although specific crime type information is unavailable for his adult prior recordeds, he does have 6 arrests on his blotter. The defendant gave up his Confederates. A radio commentator calls you soft. The offender is single, abstains from drinking, and is a recipient of Reform School honors. And the offender is a white-collar worker. Well, Bailiff Stormy and honorary Bailiff Minimi96, as well as the rest of chat, what do you think should be done as far as the decision? Should it be prison, jail, or probation for $1.4 million of insider stock trading?
Probation. He didn't do it.
Ooh. So,
No.
Okay. I was going to take you for your word, but okay.
I'd have to go, what, higher than probation? Jail?
That's right.
I'd do jail for like 12 months.
Okay. So you want to do 1 year of jail? So here's my question. And the question is quite simply, is insider stock trading a federal crime? If
Yes, it is. It is a federal crime.
if insider stock trading is a federal crime, then I believe prison would be the appropriate sentence. If it's something like
You're right.
if it's loitering or graffiti, that seems more like a jail or probation issue. So, considering that a federal crime of insider stock trading is justified by prison, then you have to ask yourself, is the crime good or bad? When this person created insider stock trading, was it for $500? And if so, then perhaps a month in prison. But in this case, we're looking at $1.4 million of insider stock trading. And so
A year? Prison.
you want to do 1 year of prison for this individual?
Yes.
All right, we're going to run with your numbers here. On the back of a napkin, I would put most likely 8 years. I think that it was a victimless crime. Nothing that really happened, to be honest, but that was a hefty amount of money, and 1984 money as well. So I'd give it 8 years of prison, but I could easily see 1 year of prison. I could see that too.
Remember, we're soft, so
That's right. We're soft and we're proud of it. All right. Let's take a look. Minime96 in the chat says prison. So let's take a look at how he did. 1 year of prison for $1.6 million worth of insider stock trading. Jail 8 months, 4 days. You would have been so incredibly close with 12 months of jail. I apologize that I swayed you away from that, but I am ecstatic that I didn't try and plead my case to go higher on 1 year of prison. I think that you did exceptionally well there, Bailiff Stormy.
well, because the thing is, money talks, bullshit walks.
Yes. Yes, it does. Yes.
That's the most level I've gotten those scales at ever.
And you did a wonderful job of it. And once again, I apologize that I pried you away from your original assessment. You did great. Let's take.
No. You brought up some very valid points.
And honestly, I thought that insider stock trading being a federal crime would not be jail worthy. Now I know better. Now I know that even though it's insider stock trading and for such a hefty amount, jail can be an option. I have to admit, I'm surprised by both your and this judge's light sentence of a year or less, but live and learn. Let's take a look at.
Soft.
We are soft. Let's take a look at how many gavels you earned, and you definitely earned these. 6 gavels. A very respectable score. Gavels? 6. And you've raised our judicial IQ up to 45. Congratulations and kudos. You definitely earned that. Well done. And I'm just going to see if I can reset the sound. Good. It sounds like the sound is back on, up and running. Mimi96 says, okay, over more than 1 million? Jail. Yeah, I know. I think Mimi96 is as surprised as I am. Let's take a look. Now it's time for our next case. Remember, it is how much and what kind of information that is important. Oh, Bailiff Stormy, you're here for a good one.
Oh my God! Murder?
The defendant is to be sentenced for the crime of murder of a police officer. That is crazy. So, once again, when it involves murder, the house rules are that we do not choose the death penalty and we explore all of the case information.
Including the...
All of it. So let's look at the details of the crime. In the case of murder of a police officer, the demographics are that the offender is a 36-year-old black Catholic male. The victim was a 55-year-old black Catholic woman. The offender-victim relationship was defined by the crime. So this 37-year-old said, I'm going to kill me a police officer. The weapon used in physical injury, the victim was shot through the head. The property damage or loss was $1,010. And the excuse given for this crime, the offender said he did it to get even. Oof.
So we got to give him an odd amount.
But ching. Well done. Let's take a look at the offender's criminal record. That was a really good pun. This 37-year-old's adult prior crime types include traffic offenses. He said he did it to get even, so I'm curious what his prior crimes are. They include traffic offenses.
Maybe the police officer pulled him over.
That's very likely. He has had 6 recorded prior arrests and 1 recorded prior conviction of something, including traffic offenses, but not limited to traffic offenses. The fugitive status on the day of the crime, this 37-year-old man was absent without leave. And we need to look at his reputation. The offender's reputation is that he is a political terrorist. Now, being 37 years old, I don't think we need to look at juvenile court blotter, but we should, because we're going to look at all of it.
Yes.
The offender has no juvenile record.
Okay, what about, oh wait, that's in another one.
It is in another one, and we're going to take a look at all these. Let's look at personal details. This 37-year-old man is married by common law. He is an alcoholic, and he is a graduate of the School of Hard Knocks. As well, his employment history, he is a media star. And we have to keep in mind that this is 1984 we're talking about, and what defines a media star in 1984. So keep that in mind. As far as the courtroom prosecution details go, the probation officer recommends probation for murder of a police officer. I admit, that one seems a little interesting. Similarly, a mayoral candidate calls this a test case for the system, says the mayoral candidate of murder of a police officer. We could have probably skipped over those. Let's take a look at the offender's upbringing. And the offender was a bastard child and was raised in a rural environment.
Oh my god, his mom didn't kill his dad with an axe to the face.
At least that it was stated. We don't know that, but it wasn't explicitly stated. And the mental history for this 37-year-old man is that he has a split personality. He acts either like J.R. Ewing or like Mrs. Cleaver. Leave it a beaver. So there we go. We're going to review the known facts on this one. Definitely. And in the murder, in the crime of murder of a police officer. And by the way, everyone in chat, Minime96, if you're still there for the long haul, which I suspect you are, everyone in chat, please throw in what you think that your verdicts would be, as well as a length of time. We're going to go over the known facts. The crime of murder of a police officer, the property damage or loss was $1,010. The offender-victim relationship is defined by the crime. The victim was shot through the head. The offender is a 37-year-old man. The victim was a 55-year-old woman. The offender said he did it to get even. The offender is absent without leave. The offender is a political terrorist. Prior crimes include traffic offenses. He has had no juvenile record in his youth, but he has, as an adult, had 6 recorded prior arrests and 1 recorded prior conviction. The probation, we can skip this. The probation officer inexplicably recommends probation, and mayoral candidate inexplicably calls this a test case for the system. Because they're dumb. The offender was a bastard child and was raised in a rural environment. The offender has a split personality. He acts like JR or Mrs. Cleaver. The offender is married by common law, is an alcoholic, and is a graduate of the School of Hard Knocks. As well, the offender is a media star. That's a lot to unpack. We're going to reach a decision and choose no on the death penalty. Now that I am curious what everyone's thoughts are. Bailiff Stormy, what do you say?
Oh, definitely prison.
I would agree.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to get the sniffles not on key.
That's quite all right.
I say 25.
Going for 25 years of prison for the murder of a police officer. In chat, Minime96 says, sigh, I want to say jail, but I think I'm going to have to go with prison. Well, murder and death is always a prison term. Always, always, always. In all the decades I've played this game, if they're offering you the death penalty and you decline, they're going to prison. I would agree with 25 years of prison. Just flat out, I would. I think that for death and murder, I would say 20 years. For assassination, I'd say 30 years. This being the death of someone, but it being a police officer, I think 25 years is a very good baseline bench. And
he did it just to get even.
Yeah, he did it to get even. There was not really many more extenuating factors than that. I mean, other than, having crimes for traffic offenses, nothing really happened. So I think that I think that 25 years of prison is a good justifiable number. I'm going to go with you on this one, Bailiff Stormy. And on that note, let's take a look at how he did.
Oh my God!
Bailiff Stormy, you've earned us our 4th Symmetrical Duck Award of the night. And to that,
What?
Let's play some music.
Hello, folks. You know I've been picking and trying to pick up banjos for 40 years or more. I used to just play the imitations, but now I'm going to give you a little of the variations of Casey Jones.
Fantastic. Well done, Bailiff Stormy. Minime96 in chat says, finally, let's go. Well done. Well done. 25 years of prison for murder of a police officer. The judge sentenced 21 years and 11 months, effectively 22 years of prison. That's worthy of a Symmetrical Duck Award. Oh, I should put in Symmetrical Duck Award. I always forget to do this part. We're up to number 4 on the night. We've now doubled our record. Fantastic.
Duck as in quack quack, or?
I mean, duck as in quack quack, unless you have any other types of ducks that you're thinking of.
True.
Let's take a look at how many gavels you scored.
I won the game! God damn it, I won the game!
40 years or more. I used to just play the imitations, but now I'm going to give you a little of the variations of Casey Jones.
And we're going to put gavels as 10.
11! No, 11!
All right, we're going to put gavels as 11. And we're going to put a judicial IQ of
1 bajillion!
1
bajillion!
bajillion. And you earned every bajillion of it. That's fantastic. You won that game so hard you crashed it.
Take that, Green Judge Wagner.
That's wonderful. All right. Let's do a reboot. And honestly, we're getting now close to the top of the hour, which means that when we reboot this, we are going to have probably enough time for one more case. So I'm going to call this, once it's rebooted, as the final case of the night. But we got to get there first. So now is as good a time as any for everyone in chat to have a hydration check. Everyone involved, yourself as well, Bailiff Stormy, have yourselves a hydration check. Yeah, we've been streaming. It's coming up on 3 hours, which is a good and pleasant time for a number of streams. Fantastic. I can't believe we've had 4 symmetrical duck awards on the night. That's been amazing. I've never seen the screen this lit up. We're just destroying them all at this rate. Oh. I'm definitely doing a big stretch. And yeah, I want to, as we enter into the final case of the night, I definitely want to give a thorough shout out to Mini-Me96 once again. Thank you for sticking with us through all of the stream. I have not come across anyone as dedicated as you in chat to playing along, and you're more than welcome to be a part of this crew, Bailiff Mini-Me96.
A new bailiff? New bailiff! New bailiff!
Mini-Me96, who, incidentally, is one of June Kawamori's crew, who had caught wind of not just Tethercat, but the Crime and Punishment streams, and has since come over and been privy to some of the most amazing cases over the last 2 streams. I'm quite happy to have Mini-Me96 as part of this crew. And we've had an open voice chat, and the ever so effluent June Kawamori was part of the voice chat earlier on today. She played a couple of cases and dipped out to be with family, is what she said. Oh, pulled that in too soon.
Bad music. Bad music.
There we go. Sound is back on. Chiptune is over. We're back into our final case of the night. Court is now in session. And remember, everybody, your rating will be affected by how much and what kind of information you choose. Mini-Me96 says, I'm honored to be here. As well you should be. You are quite welcome. The defendant is to be sentenced for the crime of aiding and abetting a felon. We've already had this case, so we're just going to skip right to the end. Prison, 99 years. Oh no, we did bad. We got 1 gavel. Next case. The defendant is to be sentenced for the final crime of the night. Our defendant is to be sentenced for the crime of criminal impersonation. There we go. Now then, let's take a look at the details of this crime for criminal impersonation. The demographics are: the offender is a 29-year-old white woman. The victims are the state and the people. The offender-victim relationship: the offender had no knowledge of the victim. Oh. The weapon used physical injury was none, and the property damage or loss was $1,780.
Oh, of course. With it that high, it's gonna be what, 10 years?
Yes, quite possibly. Quite possibly. The excuse given for this crime of criminal impersonation is that she said she wanted money to bet on the horses, and she got $1,780.
At least she wasn't helping someone get in a sex change.
Yes, small victories, I suppose. Let's look at the offender's criminal record. And in the crime of criminal impersonation, her adult prior crime types include child abuse. Her prior arrests and convictions are 6 recorded prior arrests and 1 recorded prior conviction. And her fugitive status on the day of the crime is that she was released on her own recognizance. Do we need to look at the offender's reputation for this 29-year-old?
Yes, please.
All right. The offender is a political extremist. Everyone's into the politics tonight. And we're going to look at the pre-sentence report. This 29-year-old woman's personal details are that she is married, she stays as sober as a judge, and she is an expellee from a boarding school. Her employment history is that she is chronically unemployed. The courtroom prosecution details state that the defendant was bound and gagged during the trial. Wow. Newspapers call for action. Now, do we need to look at offender's upbringing or mental history? I'm actually curious about mental history.
I want to hear that.
All right, well, we're going to go for offender's upbringing then. And the offender had divorced parents and was raised in a rural environment. Her mental history is that she is a compulsive spender.
Retail therapy.
Retail therapy at the racetrack for $1,780. So, let's review the known facts on this one. In the crime, and as always, by the way, if everyone is in chat, please, now is your time to enter in what you think would be a sentence and a length of time. The criminal impersonation crime, the property damage or loss, was $1,780. The offender had no knowledge of the victim. There's no personal injury. The offender is a 29-year-old woman. The victims are the state and the people. The offender said she wanted money to bet on the horses. The offender was released on her own recognizance. The offender is a political extremist. Prior crimes include child abuse. She has had 6 recorded prior arrests and 1 recorded prior conviction. During the trial, the defendant was bound and gagged. Newspapers call for action. The offender had divorced parents, was raised in a rural environment, and is a compulsive spender. She is married. She stays as sober as a judge. She's an expellee from a boarding school, and she is chronically unemployed. And there we have it. We're going to reach a decision. Criminal. Yes, please.
I was being facetious about, big word. I was being facetious about, the, 25 years or 10 years or whatnot. But child abuse?
Now, her prior crimes include child abuse at some point, but we are currently judging her on criminal impersonation.
I just don't like her for child abuse.
Oh, no one likes her. You can tell the way that people were booing at her when she entered into the courtroom, but we have to judge her
Bound and gagged.
Yeah.
Bound and gagged.
That's the thing. We're getting her on criminal impersonation, and she was bound and gagged, so that definitely does play a factor.
Oh, man. I have to say jail.
All right. And for how long?
Any suggestions, Mini-Me?
There you go. She's throwing it to chat, throwing it to her fellow bailiff. The answer is And I gotta admit, I also am a little bit stymied on this one. Criminal impersonation. There was a little bit of money involved.
Not much, though.
Not much, though. Honestly, not much.
I mean, even by 84 standards,
Yeah.
that's not a lot.
Yeah. I mean, on a good day at the track, she could have made $2,000. Here she did criminal impersonation for $1,700 to spend at the track. So, I don't know. I mean, hey, it's easy. You missed the case. 2 years jail. Just blind. You missed the case. 2 years jail.
10 months?
You're thinking 10 months of jail time. I would.
Yeah. A month for each 100.
There you go. A month for each 100. You know what? I'm on board with you. And we're making this the final case of the night. Sorry about that, CZ, but we're with you. Mini-Me 96 says jail. So, I mean, we're all in the same wavelength. Let's do 10 months of jail time and see if we can get you a second symmetrical duck award. Let's take a look at how it scores. Jail for 9 months, 18 days. So we were a hair heavier. We were just a little bit heavier than what the other judge said. But honestly, I had nothing that I was going to throw in. Your judgment was just as good as anything I would have said. So I still stand behind you on that one. And let's take a look at how many gavels you scored. Well done. You got 7 gavels. Kudos to you. Gavels.
I've never gotten 7 gavels legitimately.
Yeah. Well, I think you definitely earned the 10 gavels legitimately had the game not crashed earlier, because you earned that symmetrical duck award. And everyone, that concludes tonight's caseload. Court is no longer in session. Thank you, everybody, for showing up. We have Bailiff Stormy with us. She joined in on the open voice chat. It's good to have you on board, Bailiff Stormy. Would you like to say some parting words to the people watching?
Make sure you check in on your friends.
Oh, that's a absolutely wonderful sentiment to touch upon, especially after the case of criminal impersonation. Remember, check in on your friends, but don't impersonate them, especially if they're criminals. I'd like to thank Mini-Me 96. And I would also like to thank Susie and Bailiff June Kawamori, who had joined us earlier. I want to thank everyone for joining us. It's really been great having all of you aboard, and especially with Crime and Punishment, one of my favorite games, and I'm glad that everyone else has been around to join us with all of it. We're going to play the outro, and I just want to once again say, everybody, thanks for watching.